Hello. Here I am in my glasses. I thought I'd try them out because they're a brand new pair and they're quite pretty compared to my other ones, and the bags under my eyes are so huge. These look better than without, to be honest. Anyway, here in the UK, we're coming to the season, July and August, of crop circles, corn circles. You may have heard of them. They seem to be more in England than anywhere else, but they probably are in other countries too. But they're patterns that appear apparently overnight in a farmer's field. They're circles and very, very complex geometrical designs in the middle, and they are quite magical. There's lots of theories as to where they come from. I'm not sure what the farmers think because of corns. Well, it isn't ruined actually. When you get into the centre, and I did stand into the centre of one many years ago. My goodness me, the feeling was incredible. Sheer joy. I mean, I don't get that feeling very often, but I stood right in the centre and I just felt totally connected to something. It was beautifully a joyful, happy, joyful feeling. And every stem in the circle, in the pattern, because of course you can't see it when you're actually in it, you can see it better from the air. It's perfectly flat. It's not broken. It's just flattened to make this geometrical design. Lots of theories about what they really mean. Some people think they're kind of messages from outer space, and who knows, it could be. They are sent about this time of year, and nobody can really interpret them, but they are well worth seeing. You can get to see them on the website, see them, get postcards and stuff, but to actually stand in the centre of one of these corn circles is quite magical, to be honest. They usually come about July and August. If anyone has them in their country, let me know, because I think they're probably mostly in the UK. So I wanted to talk about that the earth spirit. I'm going to talk about the elements a little bit today because I think we tend to sort of, well, no, I don't know. I don't know if I not do or not, but I think we tend to sort of, we're all going into this ascension as magical, forget that the earth spirit is apparently she's a lady, she's a woman, and I can remember many years ago, 30 years ago. This is going back now because I'm an old soul, as you know. Been around, and I can remember lying on the ground under a beautiful chestnut tree, and I could hear the heartbeat. You could feel it, very, very slow heartbeat of Mother Earth, which was quite amazing, really. I mean, people do say that they can hear the heartbeat. It's very feminine, apparently, which I think is why the male species are taking a lot from it at the moment, digging up and rerouting rivers and ploughing up stuff. I get quite upset about it, but anyway, it is supposed to be feminine, negative energy. So we're very fortunate to be with it, and it's lovely, the divine feminine, I suppose, getting in tune with that. But I did feel the heartbeat and hear the heartbeat. It takes a bit of concentration just to lie with your ear on the ground, very, very quietly, no traffic in the distance, obviously, no screaming kids. So the earth spirit to me is very important. I'm a Taurian, which is an earth sign, but I do work with the earth a lot. I actually went to a Wicca I think I've told you about that, one of my videos. I won't go into that now, but the earth spirit is quite fascinating energy-wise, and I've been quite, well, I have been quite ill lately, the last 3 or 4 days, and I've actually been resorting to having to sit out in my little garden. I get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I just go and sit in my garden and I call on the earth spirit to help me with energy. I get this fibromyalgia, and my whole body seems to go into spasm. It's quite frightening, actually. So I go outside and sit with the earth spirit and talk to the trees. And the plants, and I know it sounds silly, but I do seem to get quite a lot of healing from the earth spirit. And of course, the North American Indians, they lay someone on the ground for healing. It does work. It's just a question of choosing your element, really. So that's the earth spirit, and of course mountains. Well, everyone loves mountains and trees. And I can see faces in mountains. I think that's you can tune into mountains and get lots of energy. I think there's a saying, isn't there? I will lift up mine eyes into the hills, from whence cometh my strength. I think it means mountains. I think it means the energy in the mountain. They're ancient, full of beautiful energy, and the Rock of Ages. Actually, I've been to the Rock of Ages. It is a rock, and it's very, very old. Apart from the beautiful magical places I go to, like Stonehenge and Avebury, magical stones. So anything to do with the earth. I've got a bit of hay fever today. Anything to do with the earth It's magical. I think we tend to forget that because we're rushing around. So then I want to go to the water element, because I love the water element too. And my most beautiful experience was when went to Canada, to Niagara Falls. I think Niagara kind of separates the two countries, doesn't it? America and Canada. And I went with a girlfriend, and we just had to give it a go. And the falls, you can see that they are absolutely, well, you can't imagine the amount of water that's tipping over every moment. And you can get a little boat called the Maid of the Mist, and it goes around at the base of these waterfalls. I mean, it is a quite scary experience. You've got to really trust the pilot knows what he's doing, because it could tip over so easily. And we had to wear these plastic masks. So we didn't get too wet. Oh, it's a lovely feeling though, it really is. And the noise. So afterwards, my friends and I, we went up to there's a sort of a, well, it is a cave, but there's a veranda kind of set in, so you could stand in the veranda, and just behind the falls, the water, gallons and gallons and gallons of water every moment. The noise, the absolute, called it cacophony. Absolutely amazing, the noise. And I did cry a lot. I thought it was because the heart chakra is the water chakra, apparently, according to some beliefs. And I had a lot of crying. It was quite releasing emotionally to be in touch with this. Again, a very feminine energy, the water. Very healing, very feminine. I don't have water in my birth chart. I'm all fire and earth, bit of air, but no water. So that's the kind of element I'm having to get in tune with, the feeling side. It's worth having a birth chart done, actually, because you find which element you need to work with. And of course, we've had a new moon in Cancer, which is a water sign, so you can imagine where I've been the last few days. Trying to get earth and showers and lots of, drinking lots of water, and trying to get in touch with that element, which is beautiful. And of course, I don't love swimming, actually. I don't like being in it. I don't even like taking showers. I put it off. I have to get in there. I can't get in the bath because I can't step over the side, so I have to have showers. Like, ooh, but once I'm in it, I love it, So water is not my favourite element, but the Niagara Falls, if you can ever get to see them, or any waterfalls, really, they're very beautiful. So that's the water element. Then the air one. Oh, it's hard to describe air, really, isn't it? Because it's like all around us all the time. But the different breezes, apparently the American Indians, they go with the directions and which direction the wind is blowing and so forth to get in touch with. But I had an experience many years ago. I lived in Bristol and Bath, southwest country. Bath is a very ancient city, Roman city, to be honest. That's a water city. And my daughter took me on a trip in an air balloon. These air balloons, they're baskets, and a huge balloon, all colours. In Bristol they have the festival, the balloon festival, and hundreds of different people are there with their balloons, blowing them up and taking them for rides and so forth. Anyway, this particular, it was a birthday surprise, and we got to the field. It was a little bit worrying because it was raining, and they're not supposed to take off in the rain because it spoils the material, gets wet, and apparently it's not safe. So we were hesitant as to whether we'd be going or not. Anyway, the chap decided in between showers he'd give it a go. So it was just the two of us and him, and we had to step into this basket. I can't describe the feeling, really, because it was soundless, absolutely. I mean, when you're in a plane, you've got the engine sound and all the stuff, but when the balloon began to take off and you began to leave the earth, it was a very strange feeling, like a weightless, well, because it was weightless. And when you're actually up, I don't know how high they fly, it depends, I think, where they are, but we were high enough to see the gardens, and little sort of people would wave to you, and you could see the little patterns below. It was very exciting, and but it was absolutely soundless. You could just hear the sound of the gas going into the balloon, because every now and then they have to release gas to blow it up. And I think it lasted probably about half an hour or so, but absolutely magical. It really was absolutely beautiful. I've got it. Because looking in a mirror, you're back to front. Anyway, we had this lovely balloon ride, I'll never forget it. And as we were landing, that was the scariest bit, because you're coming down and you just pray that you're not going to tip over when you get here. and suddenly there's a bump and you hit the earth. You don't realise how solid the earth is. You're up there in this weightless feeling, a bit like a spaceman, I suppose, when they're in space. This weightless feeling, and suddenly you descend into this solid existence, you know. And then, of course, we had the great fun of deflating the balloon. It takes hours to blow them up, well, not hours, quite a long time. Then you have to deflate it and wrap it all up again. So that was my air experience. Fire, well, fire too. I love fire. I used to have a cottage where I had an open fire. Everyone should have an open fire, because when you've got an open fire, especially if you're on your own, you're going to survive. No matter what happens, you're going to survive. You can cook something on it. You can boil a kettle. You can do toast, chestnuts, all that sort of thing. And I had a lovely little log fire, and I had a shed at the back where I used to chop up sticks. A man used to deliver the logs and the coal. I used to have both, because apparently the coal does help the logs to sort of burn more brightly. But to sit there in my little cottage on a cold, wintry, wet night with the wind howling outside and the rain lashing against the window, and I'd sit there in my little cottage and you could hear the crackling of the flames and the crackling of the logs. Magical, absolutely. And it was companionship. I think fire is companionship. I think it's a very creative thing as well. I don't have, now I do have quite a bit of fire. Fire is creativity, and it tends to live in the solar plexus. Although most teachings say that is the yellow, but I think that there's also a red colour for creativity and energy as well, you know. So sitting by this fire, oh, with a little television on, or I never felt lonely. It was just companionship. And the little Ashim, their baby flower fire elementals apparently. I know it sounds silly, but I just felt it was companionship, and I would talk to it. And I'm not sure I received answers, obviously, but it was this feeling of not being alone, and you could survive if all else happened. I mean, when it snowed and we were sort of locked into the cottage for days, weeks sometimes, then you could survive. You got enough logs, you could survive and boil a kettle and cook something. Anyway, time's running out, so I better go. Nice to talk to you again. I hope you're all well and getting through these tricky times that we're living in. So God bless, dear ones. Bye for now.